104.7 The Drop, Sugar Bear Lamali. It is Community Corner. You know, we've been featuring artists in our great community that do some amazing work, and today is no exception. This guy we're familiar with.
Next stop, Nelo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Nelo to Sugar Bear and Lamali and 104.7 The Drop. What's up, man?
Hey, that's love. Not too much. I already got too many complaints.
You got a few. We can all have a couple, right?
Hey, but it's a joy to be here, and thank y'all for having me.
It's our pleasure, man. Thank you. So if you're familiar with Nelo, he won our Battle of the Block.
He sure did.
Hey.
And you got to perform and open up for comments. You killed that show, by the way.
Thank you so much.
That was amazing.
You
and
set it up for me.
No, for real. Hey, you've been doing some amazing work, putting out some records, doing videos. You did another one with us, which was cool. You kind of had our station in it, which was awesome.
Yep, I got the final for y'all, too.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay. So for the people who are listening right now who don't know who you are, give them a little bit of your background and who is Nelo?
Yeah. Well, I'm Nelo, artist advocate. My name is an extension of my government name, which is Chinelo. It's Igbo. It's a West African name. It means thought of God or God remembers. My mom is South African from Cape Town. Grew up in apartheid. My dad is from Mississippi. Grew up in Jim Crow.
Southern roots. Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like I'm a melting pot of advocacy, and my journey in community started with, being an organizer, being a young preacher, and then eventually that developed into a passion and a love for music. And I used to sing in the choir all the time, and I would secretly want the solos, but wouldn't say nothing.
Yourself?
Yeah. And so as I got older and just kind of, felt things out and experienced the music industry in different ways, I saw ways that I could intertwine that with the everyday things that I was doing and the other parts of me. And so, I feel like my music is rooted in the church, who I am, and I want to take this artistry and do more with it than, just get people to listen to a song, but create community and be inspired to hear it and either want to do for others or do right.
That awesome authenticity comes through with your artistry. You could tell that. I mean, seeing you perform and, seeing your social pages, you're all about the community and really true to what you do, right? So as a kid growing up, young Nelo, how did that start? When you grew up around music, listening, your dad, your parents, so how did that work where, you were singing and then when did it turn to I want to spit some bars?
Yeah, it was like a duality. So I was in the car stand, but when I go to school, we would sit in the back of the bus, freestyle. Okay. Really, my sister was dating this guy while she was in high school. And my sister, she's 3 years older than me, and so he was a rapper, and I just thought he was really cool. And
thought it was dope. Yeah.
I'm like, I want to be like him. And so that kind of sparked. I saved up all the Christmas money I could and bought some studio equipment when I was 16 and learned how to record, engineer, mix, and master. And I'll record myself, invite guys from the neighborhood to come make music. And it was just fun back then. It was just something that I was doing. And, from that point, I kind of fell in love with the music from there on out. And it graduated into other things. Eventually in 2020, when I finished school and I came out here, I was like, I really want to take this thing serious. And thought about young Nelo and, what music did for me and how I've been just having fun with it, but it kept me alive for all these years. I'm like, you know what? I want to do this for the rest of my life too. That. So, yeah, that's kind of how young Nelo evolved into Nelo, and we got here today.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. But speaking of evolution, first of all, you've had a banner year. Hopefully one of many. Mm-hmm. You performed with the orchestra. You did a block party. Yeah. You released an album. Just all kinds of things, right? And as you're talking about evolution, I'm really interested in your thoughts on that and self-evolution and how music has maybe helped you evolve. As I was listening to Born Yesterday, which it was my top 10 of 2024, and I mean that sincerely. I love that album. but it's about evolution, right? So how do you see music helping you evolve, and how do you see it helping your community evolve?
Yeah, most definitely. I think I'll expose something personal. When I was, I was seeing a therapist, and I was just like talking to my therapist about like my goals and stuff. I was like, you know what? I want to record a song a day or whatever for this year. And we had a real conversation from there. She was like, hey, I don't want you to like burn yourself out on this music thing, because it seems like it's one of the main things that have like sustained you throughout your life. So like Born Yesterday was a project that came from like how I was feeling exactly in that span of time and that moment. And I'll say my music is the catalyst for how I evolve and understand my life. Before Born Yesterday, I had a project, which was my first project that I ever released, called Born Again, or one of the first projects that I ever released called Born Again. And that project focused heavily on where I was at life in that moment. And it was talking about like me wrestling between being a church kid and wanting to make music and be able to fully express myself and not censor things for the sake of appearing holy. And that was like a revolutionary or evolutionary moment for me, because after I made that project, I really leaned into that. And then after that, I made another project called Time is Limited. And it's because I felt like I had limited time, to handle things in life. And I'm 29 this year. I'm turning 30 this year, and so
welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. But it's just like I always, my music is the catalyst for how I evolve and understand like who I am becoming, because through working on the beats and listening to the sounds and just taking what's inside of me and expressing it, I learn more about myself in that way. And each project has been like a roadmap for how I want to go forward in life. And so there's Born Yesterday, and we already have like an idea for like the next one, which I'll release here because it's gonna come out this summer. But it's Today Years Old.
Oh my God! Wait, I love that. That's so great.
Yeah, so I try to be real thematic with my with the projects, like you were saying, and each of them are the catalyst for my evolution, because I really don't know before I make them, but when I make them, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm at in life.
That's awesome. So is it kind of like, I mean, I know you were talking about seeing a therapist, but also is music sort of like
all the way
working therapy, right?
Yeah, all the way. My girl, I like tell her like, I'll be like I'll be in a bad mood one day or something, and then I'll have to like apologize to her, like, man, I ain't recorded the song in a minute. I got a lot on my mind. Yeah. My bad. Let me go get in the studio. Right. You want to go on a date this weekend? Right?
Yeah. That's so cute.
That's beautiful. Now, you mentioned therapists. I want to talk about that because I'm seeing a therapist as well.
Absolutely.
I think it's important for us as men of color, women of color, whatever it is, it's important that we address that, right?
Yeah.
So now, from your artist standpoint, any artists out there listening right now, talk about the importance of that and how has it helped you with your artistry, individually, and for anyone out there listening, encouraging them to do the same.
Yeah, I think it's very important, especially for the artists who have like I think one of my fears in my artistry is like one day I won't be able to create anymore. Yeah. Like I don't know, I love Andre 3000, but I look at him and I get and listen to what he says sometimes, and I get really scared because I'm like, I never want to reach the day where I feel like I don't have something to talk about, or there's no longer a need for me to take what I'm internalizing and be able to express it through lyrics. And so for any artist like listening that like may also experience that, the importance of therapy comes into play, I think, in those moments, because too much of anything can like become overwhelming. And like once you've done something for a long time, sometimes you can't find the joy that you originally found from doing it. And so I think with like with music, in order to keep that joy intact, I also have to like take care of my mental space where I am. Like, I don't like recording in a messy studio, just like simple things like that. Because if the music is truly helping me, then it should like translate to me doing things better in my day-to-day life. And so I know that my therapist gave me that piece of advice that I was saying earlier, like, make sure you don't get burnt out on this music thing, which to me, what I was really hearing from her is like, keep your joy.
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh.
this thing has sustained you, and it is so, even in like our career lives, you know what I'm saying? Like, which I know that y'all love radio, you know what I'm saying? And y'all love what you do. That's what makes you able to show up every day and do it to the level that y'all do it on a daily basis. And so, like, I think like the music, the same, like, part of me being able to show up and do it to my best and have the same love that I have for it is also taking care of like the mental space that I'm in, and being able to, you know, rely on a therapist for those moments when I'm like turning something that I love into something that's going to exhaust me.
Yeah.
and it's a fine line, because you got to hustle.
It is. I mean, it is. It's like kind of like your job. And when you turn anything into work, it can suck the love out of it.
Suck the love out of it, yeah.
But you have a consciousness about it, which is good. You're aware, which is half the battle. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you, okay, so you're not from Denver. We have established that. But you show a lot of love to this fine city, specifically in your song Next Up Denver, which is a banger.
So much.
How do you see Denver, the city, the people, the culture impacting your art?
Oh, man. Denver's been a huge part of my life. So, like, I've unofficially been here, and I'm originally from St. Louis. My parents divorced, and so when they divorced, my dad, he's a pastor, and in my church, you get pastoral assignments, so you get moved. Sure. All right. So when they divorced, my dad got moved from St. Louis to Denver, and I basically told him, like, hey, I'll see you on the other side. I'm going to finish school here, stay with my mom, but I would be back and forth here over those 15 years. And so whenever I came to Denver, I always felt like a clarity of mind. And I'm close. I'm 30 minutes away from the mountains. You know, I get on the highway and see like a beautiful view. And then also just knew like the community of people that I would see and be a part of and interact with when I came here. Yeah, it may not, you know, black people were a small percentage of statewide. Persons of color as well, and the part that I love though is that it's such a close knit community too. That when you find it, you find family. Yeah. And so I feel like that has continued to inspire me in my music, and it helps sustain me in my music. That love that I have for Denver. I would have never discovered music in this way or had the opportunity. Everybody says Denver doesn't have a sound and stuff like that, which I think is one of the greatest qualities of Denver, is that it doesn't have a sound. It's ambiguous.
You're the second hip-hop artist we've had say that.
On the show. Yeah. And it's like, if it's good music, and because it's not the sound, people look for the music to be good and to get something out of it outside of just hearing it in a club. And so I think like that's the beauty of Colorado's market and Denver. And through that, I've been able to grow as an artist and really figure out, like, first and foremost, like, what do I like? What do I feel like is helping me, because I don't have to fit anybody's mold. Right. And then also knowing what moves people outside of just like the limited spaces that sometimes they try and condense hip hop and rap artists to. So like having that opportunity to like play with the Colorado Symphony and like make a song that represents Denver, I wouldn't have got that anywhere else. Right. This place, because this place has put me in positions that I know. I've lived in Atlanta, I lived in California, I've lived in St. Louis, and I know those markets well enough to know like these opportunities. This is rare. And so I'm always trying to preach that to people. And also like I hate people talking down on Denver because it's such a beautiful place. It's a developing city, and I think that it's fertile ground in terms of artistry and creativity, and people, once you learn how to take advantage of that and leverage it, then the possibilities here are endless.
We appreciate you. One more thing before we get out of here. We're talking with Nelo, if you just tuned in, and Sugar Bear Lamali. 104.7 The Drop. Fill in the blank here.
Yep.
My artistry is not complete without blank.
Love.
Wow.
Yeah, love for sure. I feel like the one thing, and you know, I don't consider myself lucky. I consider myself blessed, and I especially at such a time like this, you know, with everything that's happening in the world. Yeah. I don't know. I always turn back and lean on love as the catalyst, because that's what motivates me and keeps me going. And I wouldn't care as much about my artistry do over the past few years if I didn't know, like, one of my mentees is like watching me. You know what I'm saying? And so that love, or that type of love, or love in other forms, is what I look to when, like, those moments when I'm like, I'm feeling that exhaustion that my therapist warned me of, and
Yeah.
But I can turn to the love and be like, and think about all the things that are associated with that love, mentorship opportunities that have come from me doing music, being in spaces and being able to run music therapy classes at schools, and then those same students being able to see me be successful in my artistry. I'm like, I don't really need too much, like, other motivation.
Love that. Nelo, tell the people how they can find you, where, you know, they can find you on social, if you got a website, all of the things.
For sure. Yeah, you can find me outside. I'll be everywhere. Also on Instagram at gr.nelo, TikTok the same. And then February 25th, I'll be at Cervantes opening up for Piff Marty. So, you know, you find me on Instagram, DM me, or whatever else. But, yeah, that's where I'll be.
Nice. Thank you for sharing your artistry with us, man. You know, you've been here a lot. You're like family to us. Yep. We appreciate what you do, and the energy you put forward is second to none. So thank you for that.
Thank you, family. I appreciate y'all so much, and thanks for everything that y'all do and reaching out and highlighting local art. And only moves us forward and makes this ecosystem that we're creating better for all of us. And y'all are at the head of that. So thank y'all.
Thank you for saying that.
Thank
All
you.
right. Sugar Bear and Lamali, man, another community corner. That was beautiful. It's 104.7 The Drop.